My biggest thought is it's feminism.
In 1960, it was largely inconceivable that couples could cohabitate outside of marriage. By 1970, the number of couples cohabitating outside of marriage had quadrupled. A fundamental shift had occurred in American values. For example, in 1962, the state of Illinois became the first state to decriminalize all sexual activities between consenting adults. No-fault divorce laws were passed in most states during the late 1960s and then later in the early 1970s, making divorce less an adversarial proceeding. Increasingly, the popular culture began to popularize a new image of what it was like to be single, that marriage is a state that you become imprisoned in, and that to find real fulfillment, you have to be out on your own. One of the major changes that occurs in the early 1960s is that women start to marry much later than before. It rises to the mid-20s. But it meant that women were having fewer children, and they were having them later in their lives, and it meant that there was a growing period when people were single and mature and outside of a family. This was a dramatic break with the past.
This is personally my reasoning. I believe that feminism, radical feminism, if you look at the rates, Black women were more likely to be married than white women. To sit here and say that marriage is a white woman's game is a lie. Black women were more likely to be married than white women until the late 60s, 1970s, when the second wave feminism, sexual revolution, the pill, all of that was introduced. Welfare was a part of that as well, in my belief. When that started to take off, you can see marriage rates tank, and it's been tanking ever since for the Black community. Radical feminism, teaching women that they are independent, they don't need a man.
Raise your hand if you're married. None of you are married. Raise your hand if you would like to be married to your baby's father. One. The rest of you who don't plan to get married, why don't you plan to get married? I'd like to know that.
You already have your child to think about, and then a whole family to care for. You know, it's a lot of responsibility, and then you don't want the commitments.
I wouldn't want no man holding me down, because I think I can make it as a single parent.
But don't you think you might need help in raising that baby from a man?
Not really.
They can have hookup sex, casual sex with whoever they want because they have birth control, they have abortion access, and they have the pill. Remember, abortion also was another thing that the sexual revolution part of feminism, promoted. So it's not a surprise, in my view, when you look at the data, that the marriage rate started to decline, that the abortion rates in the Black community started to go up during that time. Radical feminism, 40 plus years of radical feminism from then until now, still is preaching women chase your career, women have children later, women be promiscuous, don't worry about, having sex with whoever, don't worry about that. You don't have to have sex with a committed husband. You need to just have sex with whoever you want. It's in our culture, it's in our music. We have female musicians, entertainers promoting this stuff.
I don't even let me tell me what a party is. Girls don't need no man. Queens, we don't need no man.
This is what I believe the main reason for the Black woman, not getting married. They're not. Also, when it's funny because there's such a battle of the sexist online between men and women of all races these days, especially because of the internet.
Men can 100% exist without women.
I forgot how useless men are nowadays.
But it's always been there. It's always been there. But it seems like it's even more. The thing is, it's funny how radical feminism, or the feminism of the sexual revolution, thought that it was actually helping women. But it actually ended up hurting women because we stopped getting married. No fault divorce was introduced, so you could get a divorce at that point for no reason. If you just didn't want irreconcilable differences, I'm out. Not before it took a lot to get a divorce. You had to have some evidence of some stuff. You had to have a plan in action. There had to be a real clear reason. It couldn't just be we just don't love each other. We grew apart. We separated. No fault divorce was introduced at that time. And so you have higher divorce rates, high abortion rates, high promiscuity rates, STD rates through the roof. I saw a report that said Black women are the highest numbers of new HIV cases today. Okay, so sexual promiscuity, it doesn't just hurt women. The feminist movement of that time didn't just hurt women, it hurt men, because back in the day, a man had to serenade you. A man had to woo you. A man had to really want you to be his wife in order to get the cookie. He had to work. Now, because of promiscuity, because of the sexual revolution of feminism, a man doesn't really have to do that much work. Now, you would say, yes, they do. Women aren't just sleeping around. Okay, but the stats are showing the abortion rates. A majority of these abortions are happening to single mothers, a lot of these abortions are happening to mothers who are not married, okay, in the Black community. I'm specifically talking about the Black community. Okay, a lot of these men, they aren't committing to these women. So that makes them feel like, oh, I got to get an abortion because I can't raise this child by myself. There's no man there to help me. So you have to understand how all of this is interlocked. The abortion industry is big. Feminism introducing this didn't just hurt Black women. It hurt Black children, because Black children who are not raised in a two-parent married home are going to have worse lives than those who did and are. And it hurt Black men as well, because there's articles on the benefits of marriage. And one of the benefits of marriage for men is that it gives men a sense of responsibility, so they're less likely to make bad decisions because they're heads of a household. But when the sexual revolution came and taught women, or basically taught men, that they didn't really have to woo a woman, commit to a woman, do anything of substance for a woman to get into the draws, of course marriage rates decline. Of course there's less commitment. Of course there's men who are less likely to commit today. So we really have to pay attention to where a lot of this comes from with us. Feminism, in my opinion, the sexual revolution feminism didn't just hurt women, but it hurt men. It hurt men and it hurt children, because now a majority of them are being raised in single mother-led homes. Hi, wife. If you enjoy what you heard or watched, please consider subscribing to my channel. More content updates coming very, very soon. God bless.